Yo, what's going on? How's it hanging? How's it slapping? How we doing? How we feeling? We spoke earlier this morning, and I am back for another episode of Sports Chat. Told you I was making a mock draft 4.0. Shout out to my little sister. It's her birthday today. We're doing this for her. CAC mock draft 4.0, 2 rounds. You know the drill. Free agency round 1 is in the books. It's getting a little crazy. So lots of things going on. Let's get right down to it. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, bro. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Raiders want Mendoza so bad. And it's either going to work for them or it's not. But they're going to take him. Their whole team, everything they've been doing in the mock, in the free agency, it's all gearing towards this moment. There was something. I can't sing it because I don't want to get copyright strike, but you get what I'm saying. ABBA's going to be on the screen. It's going to be late. Okay, pick number 2, Jets. A lot of defensive moves coming out of free agency. Not a whole lot of offense, but they've got 2 first-round picks, so there's a lot of movement going on. Listen, I like the Jets. I like what they're doing, but Jermaine Johnson II is gone, bro. They need an edge rusher. They need someone bad. And I really do think David Bailey's going to be off the board at 2. They need someone to replace Jermaine Johnson, to fill up that middle, to get things going. My analysts are currently arguing in the other room. They need the pieces, man, and that's what they're going to get. Is it over? Okay. Pick 3 on the clock. Pick 3 on the clock. Cardinals are there. Cardinals are dog. They've done nothing this free agency. Practically in shambles. They just need to take best available. Give me Arvell Reese at 3. 2, the Arizona Cardinals. Listen, me personally, I like Sonny Styles more than Arvell Reese. You know that from my other mocks, but listen, I'm not going to be the guy to say it, but Arvell Reese is probably going to go higher. Tennessee Titans on the clock at 4. 4. And I think that this is going to be a match made in heaven. The Titans have done nothing but pay for a defense that can actually do something. They've been bringing in pieces. The this defensive draft class is so deep and so rich. There's only one man on the board that can make an impact and elevate Cam Ward's game. Not tomorrow, not in a year, today. And that's Jeremiah Love off the board at 4 to the Tennessee Titans. It's a match made in heaven. Cam Ward gets a piece. Cam Ward gets a wide receiver 1 and a running back in one offseason. We could be looking at absolute cinema, ladies and gentlemen. We could be looking at absolute cinema. Brings me to my next pick. New York Giants on the board, and oh boy, have they been very quietly building something really special over there in New York. Very quietly building out the pieces, building out the roster. I'm going to just say it. They lost Wan'Dale Robinson. I know people are going to be angry with me thinking, oh, they need a corner or whatever. They got a corner. I think they're going to go Tate. And I know that's a stretch. But with Wan'Dale Robinson for sure out of New York, they got to get someone in there. Especially because Malik Neighbors might not be number 1 guy. With the tight end and Cam Scatteraboo coming back, Jackson Dart is going to need a piece to get something moving. And that's what they're going to do. Cleveland Browns. God, I love the Cleveland Browns. They are by far, I know I'm grabbing random objects to point with, but I'm feeling excited today. The Cleveland Browns are by far other than the Bears, because I'm a Bears fan and I live in Chicago. The Cleveland Browns have probably done have been my favorite team going into this offseason.
How are you doing today?
Because they aren't messing around. These guys aren't joking. These guys aren't playing games. Todd Monken sat down with the GM and said, go and get these pieces. This is what our game plan is. Laying it out real cut and dry. They brought in a ton of O-linemen. They brought in a ton of help. And now we're looking at a situation where defense might be an answer here. Do I think the Browns are going to lunge at a defensive option? If the board is to shake down this way, I think so. Give me Sonny Styles off the board at 6. Listen, they got 3 to 4 O-linemen, I'm pretty sure, and big name O-linemen at that. Cleveland Browns don't need to spend their first of 2 first-round picks in the top 10 on some guy named Francis Magoa. Give me Sonny Styles at 6 and complete the trifecta. Defense is untouchable in Cleveland if they can get Sonny Styles on that defense with Myles Garrett and Mason Graham and Denzel Ward and all these other pieces. You kidding me? Pick 7 on the clock, Washington Commanders. I see Jeremiah Love, this being the lowest he goes in the draft. Jeremiah Love could fall to 7. But the way things are looking, I definitely think that the Washington Commanders are on the edge wagon. I think they're on the wagon where they need a defensive end. They're going to need an edge. And, I mean, shoot, what are you going to do, right? You need a piece to respond to this, especially if your second-round pick is gone. You take best edge you can because look at the other options. Caleb Downs, real iffy. I don't like it this high, and I don't think the Commanders do either. Wide receiver, you got Mekhi Lemon, who looked real weird at the combine, so I don't even know if you want to trust that, if it's a locker room issue. And both your top linebackers are off the board before you even get to make the pick. I say Reuben Bain. Arm problems, T-Rex arms, it's not really a struggle for me. Let the dudes 4 years of play in college speak for itself. I think Reuben Bain won't be the number 2 pick, but I do think he does not fall very far out of the top 10. Saints on the clock at 8, and honestly, Saints signed Etienne, so they're out of the Jeremiah Love sweepstakes, and honestly, so are the Chiefs. So the Saints are going to need a piece that is going to be able to come in immediately and make an impact. And honestly, their defense is looking a little rough. They got Chris Olave. I don't think you need to spend a round 1 pick on a wide receiver necessarily. But what I do think is going to be very helpful is cornerback, DBs, something. Mansour Delane off the board at 8. I think it just makes sense. Yeah, you got Kool-Aid McKinstry, but like you need your defense to continue to bulk up a little bit before you decide, like before you get all crazy. Chiefs at 9. This is a hot take, and I know people are going to be mad about this, but give me Kenyon Sadiq off the board at 9. Listen, Travis Kelce is so old. He's 36, I think, 37. You have Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Kenneth Walker III. Dude! Are you kidding me? That's crazy. Kenyon Sadiq. Let Kenyon Sadiq take second tight end reps underneath Travis Kelce. Have Travis Kelce teach him the routes, teach him the cuts, build a relationship with Patrick Mahomes. You could be looking at a Super Bowl team, if not this year, then next year for sure. Chiefs take Kenyon Sadiq off the board at 9. It just makes sense. So the Bengals are up. Defensive interior linebacker safety. Bengals have to take a chance here. The Bengals are at risk of just being irrelevant. They didn't do anything spectacular in the draft. They lost both of their edge rushers. I mean, it's just you can't take a chance. You got to take a swing, right? So, without further ado, I'm going to say it. I think Dylan Thieneman comes off the board at 10. Back-to-back ducks off the board. Dylan Thieneman, because Caleb Downs has an injury that's going to be so shaky. And if you don't, you can't take a chance like that. You got to take someone who you know scored well, did well, is well, and is going to move forward and lock in. Dolphins on the board at 11. Wide receiver, tight end, guard, edge, DB. See, the Dolphins, again, are in this situation where you could take certain... You could take certain liberties, right? But with Malik Willis coming in and an O-line that doesn't look too neat, too fancy... I'm going to say Francis Magoa's off the board. Oh, but they don't need a tackle. Well, they sort of do. And they sort of just need to fill their O-line with people that are going to be able to, do good work and be beasts. Cowboys on the clock at 12. Linebacker, DB. The Cowboys have done so much for their defense in this offseason. I see them taking a swing at Caleb Downs, who was supposed to be top 5 material, but I have him dropping on my board way far down. And that's just how it's going to have to be. If the Dolphins go a different direction, then Francis Magoa will be off the board to the Rams at 13. But since Francis Magoa is gone, I'm going to take Monroe Freeling off the board here. Dude is an animal. Dude is an animal. 6'7", 315 pounds. 6'7", 6'7". You know what I'm saying? So, Monroe Freeling off the board at 13. Baltimore's on the clock, and they need a wide receiver. I think that, yes, is it going to be suspect? Sure. Mekhi Lemon is showing quite a bit of 5'11", 195 pounds. Jordan Tyson with injury questions. 6'2", 200 pounds. I think they're not going to take a chance. They're going to draft Mekhi Lemon at 14. I don't want to keep saying it just makes sense, but it literally does just make sense. They need someone to pair up with Zay Flowers, and they need a weapon for Lamar Jackson. That's where they're going to fall. So, which brings me to pick 15. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in an interesting situation here, because they aren't necessarily desperate for anything, but they sure could use some serious help. I have them taking C.J. Allen off the board here because Alex Anzalone is in his 30s, and they need to take good people who can play good ball, and C.J. Allen can play good ball for sure. Jets back on the board. This is what I'm saying, because look at this. Jets back on the board. They could use a guard, edge, CB. And look who is sitting there so pretty. Give me Vega Ione. Vega Ione off the board to protect Geno Smith and build their offensive line for when, it's not really going to be a surprise to anyone, Arch Manning comes off the board for the Jets. So, next year. Lions on the clock, tackle, D-line, linebacker. They're losing tackles left and right. Taylor Decker's released. Another guy retires. Spencer Fano is the pick there. I really do think that the Lions want to keep the window open. They're gonna have to take a tackle to help build themselves up. Which brings me to pick 18. Running back, center, defensive interior, and safety. They just lost Harrison Smith. To sit here and say that anything else is going to happen here, I would tell you that you're crazy. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is going to fly off this board because he's such a physical and gritty player. It's easy. It's easy at this point. Carolina Panthers, their defense is set and stacked and loaded. I see them taking Omar Cooper Jr. at pick 19. I see them taking a guy who can ball, who can play, who can be another wide receiver in that room. And it's just going to be cinema. Dallas Cowboys on the board. Took a safety already, so, I mean, questions go here. Who do you take next? And honestly, I like Akeem Mesidor to the. And I know some people might. Yo, my analysts are fighting in the other room. I know some people might go, oh, Akeem Mesidor, this, that, and the other. You can't have too much. You got Rashawn Gary, you got Kenny Clark, you got all these guys on defense, whatever. You made a push. Hey! Doc, shut up! Sorry. So, you made a push for Max Crosby. It doesn't work out. Give me an edge rusher for them who can make something happen and be dirty. So, we got QB, tackle, defensive interior, and safety. Who's their quarterback? Aaron Rodgers? See, it's just sort of that situation where I don't know. Who do they take? You know, like, they just signed Cameron Hayward back to another contract, and they're looking to fill needs. I definitely think they're probably going to go a for certain pick here, seeing as, I mean, this guy's been injured. Give me Avion Sorrell off the board to the Steelers. You know what I mean? Eagles, tight end, edge, DB. Kedrick Falk is there. Cassius Howell is there. I'm going to err on the side of Cassius Howell at 22. Pick 22. Wait, why did it highlight the Eagles if the Chargers were on the clock? It doesn't matter. That works as well. Cassius Howell to them. And shoot, Kedrick Falk to the Eagles. They both need edges. They both need a pass rush, and there it is. Browns back on the clock after drafting Sonny Styles. And honestly, it's going to be tackle for me here. You go in. So you took your first round pick off the board. You took a guy. Give me Caden Proctor off the board at 24 to go in and really just finish rebuilding the O-line. That's it. You got your O-linemen. You got your pieces in place. Go in and protect your quarterback going into the next season. It's really just that simple. Bears on the clock are sprinting to make this pick. Caleb Banks off the board at 25. I think it fits. And I would be happy with Caden McDonald. I would be happy with Peter Woods. But I want someone who's going to come in and who's going to play this game. Who's going to be young and hungry. And I do definitely think that that Caleb Banks can get it done. And would I be happy with Caden McDonald? Would I be happy with Peter Woods? Sure. But I'm more so focused on Caleb Banks getting to the Bears immediately. Okay. So, give me the Buffalo Bills on the clock. It just makes sense. It's there. Okay. It's good to go. They signed Bradley Chubb, so they're not going for that. Instead, they're going to take D-line. I can almost guarantee Caden McDonald is going to come off the board. They were going to swing for Caleb Banks, but they see that if they don't take a D-line now, D-line's starting to fall off the board. They need to take someone big. San Francisco 49ers on the clock. Guard, tackle. Blake Miller's a tackle. Blake Miller's off the board. You've completely solidified this O-line behind Brock Purdy. With the addition of Mike Evans, you got your wide receiver addressed. Center guard, D interior. Peter Woods is off the board. All your first-round prospects at D interior are off the board in the span of a couple picks. It's going to start happening that way. Wide receiver, tackle, D-line. I mean, the Chiefs are back on. They took Kenyon Sadiq. I think they take edge rusher TJ Parker to fully bolster that room there. Broncos are in a bit of trouble because all their people they wanted to take are no longer there. So they're probably going to have to err on the side of they're not going to dip that low into the draft class. But honestly, you might have to, especially seeing that the linebacker room is very quickly fading away. Jacob Rodriguez would be an interesting pick. Seeing as he probably will be gone, they'll snag him. Yeah, it's a low pick. It's a shocking first round grab, but when you're pick 30 in the NFL draft, that's who you take. So here comes the Patriots looking for an edge rusher, and honestly, I don't think they're going to find one, but they are going to find Max. I don't know how to say that last name. They're going to continue to build the O-line around my boy, Drake May. Seahawks are on the board with needing a running back and a wide receiver and a safety. KC Concepcion is there. I think you take him. So going into the second round now, we're going to speed things up just a little bit. You got Vega. You got David Bailey. You take Jordan Tyson. First pick of round 2. You got to build these pieces around these guys, and that's a first-round talent that fell into the second round in this board. And it just works. You got the Cardinals on the board who took Arvell Reese with pick number 2. They could use a tackle. They could use a linebacker. I mean, Caleb Lomu's there. So you take Caleb Lomu. You continue to build the O-line around whoever your quarterback of the future is going to be. And that's going to be that. The Titans got Jeremiah Love. And, I mean, you got Love, but what else are you going to get? You know what I mean? Emmanuel Pregnone. You go in there and you get Emmanuel Pregnone, and you just say, look, we are building this team out. You took your defensive piece, and now you're taking your offensive piece. Raiders on the clock at 36. I mean, wide receiver, tackle, defensive interior, and corner. I say they take Jermon McCoy. Hey! Shut up! Sorry, my dogs are being so loud and obnoxious. They're going to have to take corner, and I know Denzel Boston's there, and I know that things are fluctuating, but, I mean, it just, what else are you going to do? Colton Hood, I mean, Brandon Sissy on the board. My guess is they're probably going to just take next best, corner Colton Hood off the board. They got Carnell Tate, and so they're going to be looking forward to something else and something better. Center guard and defensive interior. Chase Basantis, you could make the argument for. And I think that's what they're going to end up having to do. You got Peter Woods. You get a guard in there to help keep C.J. Stroud from throwing 18,000 interceptions. And that's going to be that. Brown's back on the clock again. And I definitely think that Denzel Boston is going to be their pick, especially if he falls that low. You're just giving Shedeur weapons. I mean, you're just giving Shedeur weapons, and that's really all I have to say about that. You know what I mean? Chiefs back on the clock. T.J. Parker and Kenyon Sadiq. What a great draft class, honestly. Wrap it up with honestly, I'd wrap it up with Christian Miller. I think Christian Miller is a great pick. I think Lee Hunter really dropped his own draft stock by being so slow. I definitely think that if you look at the defensive interior, the next available guys are round 3, dude. But these guys are not necessarily bad. And I don't think that the Bengals are going to want to pull the trigger on someone who showed no physicality whatsoever. They're going to take an edge. They're going to take Zion Young off the board to complement what's his name? The loss of Joseph Osai and Trey Hendrickson. Saints are back on the board after taking Mansour Delane, and honestly, not a whole lot of good things going on here. I see them taking Gabe Jacobs. But they could also take Lee Hunter, which is probably more like what's going to happen. And I think that that's what they're going to do. They're probably going to take Lee Hunter. I know he was supposed to fall, but They're desperate, and that's who they're going to grab. You take a look
How
at
are you doing
the
today?
Ravens. They got a tackle. They could use a center. Or no, who's on the clock? I'm looking at the Ravens, and I should be here. Dolphins took a tackle. They need just about everyone. DB, edge. Brandon Sissy's there. You take Brandon Sissy. Jets are back on the clock after refurbishing this team. Give me D'Angelo Pons off the board to the Jets. They got Geno Smith. I don't see them taking Ty Simpson this high. Baltimore Ravens took Mekhi Lemon. They need a center. They need a safety. A.J. Halsey's there. You take A.J. Halsey. It's really just that simple. The Buccaneers are the team I know the least about, consequentially, unfortunately. So I think that if you need an edge, you take an edge and you just build the defense out. You can get a tight end in the third round for sure. Falcons on the board for the first time this draft, and honestly, do you take best available? Yeah, probably. I'd go with Gabe Jacobs, to be honest. Yeah, Chris Bell is there, but like I didn't see a whole lot from him. I don't think the Falcons necessarily need a wide receiver, but they could use a wide receiver 3, but they just brought in Alameda Zaccheaus. Give me Gabe Jacobs off the board. Oh my gosh. I keep messing this up. I'm sorry. Undo pick. So, Colts are on the clock. Why I'm looking at these guys, Colts are on the clock for the first time. Linebacker, safety, interior. I mean, honestly, linebacker, safety, interior. I'm taking Dunker, and I know that's probably a waste of a pick, but golly, they need to protect Daniel Jones. And Dunker was crazy in the combine. We look at the Atlanta Falcons, and we already know who the Atlanta Falcons are going with. Give me Gabe Jacobs off the board. Vikings back on the clock. Vikings took a safety. And now they have a little bit of room to work with here. They took their safety. They got their guy. Honestly, do you take a defensive interior guy? Do you go as low as taking someone like Daryl Jackson or Dominique Orange? That's a far down pick to make. And I don't really know if they're going to want to do that. I would honestly say they take Chris Johnson here just to continue to build out that defense and avoid having to stoop so low for a pick. With the Lions on the clock, D-line is a need. Linebacker's a need. Jake Golday's there. You got to replace your linebacker with the loss of Anzalone, and you get him. Omar Cooper, the wide receiver. You need a tackle. You need a defensive interior guy. Caleb Tiernan is there. You take Caleb Tiernan just to make sure you have a tackle at this point. Tackle, defensive interior, and corner. I think Keith Abney would be a crazy pick here to go next to Benjamin St. Just. And this is where we see our boy come off the board, Ty Simpson. Off the board at 53, deep into about halfway through round 2. And they get their pick. They get their man. Looking at who the Eagles took, they took an edge in the first round, so they're probably going to take tight end Eli Stowers. Just to Dallas Goedert. They signed a couple guys that were really low, like no one really knew who they were, so you can make an argument there. Chargers on the clock took Cassius Howell. Defensive interior speaking, safety-wise, there's not a whole lot there. Kamari Ramsey is, though, and I think if you're going to take a safety at this point, with so many safeties that have gone off the board before, you pull the trigger on Ramsey, and you bite the bullet. You get a guy who can play at a prominent school, and that's that. Jaguars just lost their guy, their running back, and honestly, I mean, you're gonna probably need to take a corner. I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot from Jadarian Price, but I would take corner Keontae Scott. Bears on the clock at 57. I'm taking Malachi Lawrence off the board any day of the week. And then you get to this point. The 49ers at 58. Guard, tackle, edge, safety. They already got a tackle. Derek Moore is a very intriguing pick. I like Derek Moore. I think he's really a beast. You got Peter Woods and you got a guard. I mean, you're not going to stoop low enough to grab a center. I think that the Texans go with just building out, just getting an offensive piece. Chris Bell comes off the board. Bears are on the board again. They got a couple of really nice pieces, but I think with Garrett Bradbury's future uncertain, give me Sam Hecht, the center. I really do think that Garrett Bradbury will be good for this year, but getting Sam Hecht to learn how to play the game is going to be essential. Rams are up. Rams take Jeremy Bernard. I mean, it's really just that easy. They take a wide receiver, can come in and play alongside. Broncos, they got a line. It's a linebacker all the way, but I mean, defensive interior is looking a little spotty. Give me Dominique Orange this late in the game. Patriots, who they get? Okay, they got a tackle, which is good. They need a wide receiver, and there's a couple there. Are they going to want to take a chance on a guy like Skylar Bell, or are they going to want to settle for something a little more certain and Chris Brazzell the second? It's a good option, but I think they're going to go Chris Brazzell the second. And then last but not least on this mock, you got KC Concepcion off the board. You take Jadarian Price and you move forward, right? They did lose a lot of defensive pieces, and it is what it is. But look, this is how I see it shaken down. I'm sure mock 5.0 is going to come out not too long from now. I think that it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. We're going to see how it shakes. But this round 1 is really different from mock 1.0. I think that these are pretty much a lock, but as you start to get down into like what people need after losing so many pieces, I think there are a lot of things could change. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, tuning in. If I'm talking to no one but myself, I'll see you on draft night when we really look at who's getting drafted where. We're definitely doing a draft recap for the 3 days that I'll be there. Oh, wait. I'll actually be out of town the weekend of the draft, but I will be sure to be posting maybe some short clips or some shorter videos, updates on things going on. But when I get back from being out of town from that weekend, I will definitely do probably a 3-part video of the 3 different days. So, and I think that'll be really fun. I think that'll be a good deep level analysis. And so that'll be good. But anyways, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you comment. Tell me where I was wrong, where I was right, where I was all this and that. Let me know. Share this with a friend. Share this with a fellow football guy. If it's to be like, yo, dude, this guy's based. Or if it's even like, dude, get a load of this quack on YouTube who thinks he knows anything about football. Share this video with someone. Let's see what happens. But anyway, happy birthday to my little sister, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, CAC out.